The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, hey everyone, we're going to get started. My name is Kai, and I'm here to present to you the Daz Genesis 8 character to iClone 7.2 webinar, 7.2. So we're going to be talking about basically how you can get your Genesis 8 character into iClone. I'm going to bring up the screen here. You guys have probably already seen this. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that basic procedure, customizing your character briefly in Daz. We're going to download a couple of or rather one animation from Mixamo and apply that to your character in iClone. I'm also going to be showing you how to import all the facial lip syncs and everything like that. And the basic stuff, I think a lot of you are familiar with what we're going to be covering here. I wanted to mention that we are recording this webinar, so if you have any questions or I'm going too fast for you at any point during the webinar, you can always review that later on your own at your own leisure, I guess. We're going to be sending you a YouTube link there. And we are also going to be having a brief Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those questions in the questions section of your GoToWebinar panel there. There's a big questions panel that you can just type in whatever question you may have for me. There may be a lot of questions from you guys, but I'll try to answer as many as I can before time runs out here. So we're going to get to that in just a moment as well. In addition, we're going to be sending out a survey, as always, for the webinar. If you have any comments or any feedback, we more than welcome your feedback and comments on that survey. As a little reward for filling out that survey for you, we'll give you a 10% discount coupon for the content store. So you can purchase whatever your little heart desires in the content store, get a little bit of a discount off there as well. I think that about covers the initial introduction here. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be covering this, and again, any questions, feel free to put those in the questions section, and I may be providing some links in the chat window there as well throughout the webinar, or maybe in the Q&A session. Yeah, so just a couple of brief minutes for introduction there. I think we'll just jump right into it. We got a lot of stuff to cover here, and I want to leave some ample time for the Q&A session at the end. All right, so let's jump right into it. I'm going to go start off with iClone here. So this is Victoria 8. You may recognize her as a Daz character, Victoria 8. She has some iClone hair on her, and I'm going to be showing you how to apply that hair in a moment here. So you can see this character is fully functional. You can use the facial puppet tool on this character. If I select one of these profiles here, let's just choose we're going to be talking about the facial profile editor a little bit later on here, so you can see we get some angry expressions, and I have some nice beautiful lighting in this scene here as well. You can blink your character's eyes, and so on and so forth. Some happy, smiling expressions. Okay, so we're going to be talking all about this later on. I'll also be doing some lip sync as well later on in the webinar. All right, but for now, we're going to just go ahead and close down iClone, since we're going to be just kind of trying to save some resources here. My poor little laptop, and we're going to start off with Daz. So we're going to start off by just basically importing the character into Daz, and I'm sure a lot of you are already Daz users, so you're probably not too confused by any of this stuff here. So again, I'm just going to go to my Daz content library over here, and the Daz people. Under people, we have characters, and under characters, we have Victoria Vicky 8. All right, we'll just double click and bring her into our scene. All right, so there she is. And we'll get some clothes on her right off the bat here. So I'm going to go to my clothing, and I have this Velocity outfit, this kind of outfit that I just downloaded from the Daz store there. And you can see it's a nice skin-tight yoga outfit, biking outfit, whatever you want to call it. And there's also some materials there that we're going to apply to that as well. So let's right-click on the bra there and select Velocity bra. And let's just double-click on this material here to apply that. I'm going to right-click on the pants, select Velocity pants, and do the same thing for the Velocity pants there. All right, so then we have all that stuff. We also have a pair of cute 3D shoes that I'm going to just apply to our character here. There you go. All right, so that's our character all decked out in this sweet-looking exercise outfit. And what we're going to do now is focus on the materials for our character's skin. Okay, so we want to apply a couple of skin materials. Let's get up close to around where the face is here and zoom in a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is under Victoria 8, we have materials, and we have 3 Delight materials. I'm just going to apply this Victoria 8 all maps. Okay, so this is just basically all the materials for Victoria 8. Let's go ahead and apply that. And you're going to notice her skin change significantly as I take a brief sip of tea there. Should pop in just a moment. And when that does, you'll see, boom, there we have it. So she looks, she has a skin, but we need to actually adjust a couple things more. The first thing I'm going to do is give her a different eye color. So let's zoom in on the eyes here a little bit. And just right click and select the right eye. It doesn't really matter. Let's give her some blue eyes. All right, so I'll just double click and boom, there's some blue eyes for her right there. And what we'll also do is throw in some eyebrows, okay? Because it looks weird when she doesn't have any eyebrows. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on the eyebrows and throw those in there as well. And that's pretty much the only customization we're going to be doing in Daz. I'm going to whiz through that really quickly. But again, it's pretty straightforward, simple stuff, just applying different templates to your character. And what we're going to do is we're going to import all this stuff into 3D Exchange momentarily. Hopefully those eyebrows will load up. There we go. Okay, it just took a while there. All right. And okay, so that's the customization I want to do on the character. Not too much, just simple and easy stuff. The next thing we're going to talk about is the DUF file. Now, I wanted to mention a couple things here. The file that I'm going to be using, you get this as a free bonus with the 3D Exchange Pipeline or Pro version. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you go up here to, I'm going to provide this link for you guys in case you don't have it. In the chat window for you there. So this will be the information page for the Daz Genesis extension. And if you go down to the bottom here, it'll say something about, there you go. This is a free bonus that comes with 3D Exchange Pro and Pipeline. Okay, so it supports Genesis 1, 2, 3, and 8 characters, customize Daz facial expressions, and auto import Genesis facial morphs. And we're going to show that in just a moment. Full iClone facial, lip sync, and face puppet compatibility. So these are all the files that are included. I'm going to show you these files in 2 Shakes of a Lamb's Tail. Okay, so just wanted to know you to know where you can find that stuff. I'm going to just go ahead and paste this in the chat window for you there, in case you want to review it on your own time. Let's just throw that in there. Okay, so I'll just provide that link in the chat window for you guys. Okay, so yeah, Pro or Pipeline doesn't really matter. You can have both of them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to find that folder in my little computer here. Whoops, not that one. Production resources. I have a complicated folder structure here that I need to get through. Daz to Icone, there you go. Okay, so you'll get a folder like this, Daz Genesis extension. And in that Daz Genesis extension folder, you'll find this Daz Genesis to Icone folder, and you'll find all the DUF files for the Genesis 1 through 3, and you'll find the Genesis 8 female and male. They have their own separate folder. And they also have a folder called Reallusion that contains some facial expression data with a couple of different morphs here. Okay, and I'm going to show you where to put that in just a moment. Okay, this is exclusive, unique to Daz Genesis 8 characters. Okay. So Daz Genesis 8, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we'll go back here. One thing I want to mention here as well is there's this muscle mapping and puppeteering relation Excel file. Okay, you can click on that. And I'll basically show you all these different relations right here. Now, this isn't really relevant to the lip sync, but this is relevant to the facial morphs. Okay, so you can review that on your own time. We're just going to close that for now. In addition to that, in this folder here, there's the avatar face key sequence. So this indicates which frame in Daz corresponds with which facial morph. Okay, so I'm going to click on this tab down here, face key sequence, and you can see here the keyframe number, the frame number, will correspond with each individual kind of morph shape in Daz. Okay, so there's ones for the jaw, there's ones for the viseme shapes, okay, for the lip syncing, automatic lip syncing, and there's eyes and heads and all this other fun stuff down here. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to put in the questions panel. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. We have other more interesting things to do than go through Excel files. All right, so what I'm going to do is find that file again. So here in the Genesis 8 female folder, here's my DUF file, okay, for Victoria. So what I'm going to do is in Daz, Make sure I select the head. Okay, make sure the head is selected. And you can simply just click and drag that DUF file directly onto the head. Okay, Shazam, just like that. Now it'll say this preset contains information for frames beyond the length of your current timeline. Do you want to add some frames? We definitely do. So let's press yes. Okay, and you can see down here, these now are all the different frames for the different morph shapes. Okay, you can kind of scroll through it on your own time here. You can see those ones are the eyes. There's kind of like a squint nose and the mouth shapes and everything like that. Okay. There you go. Okay, so, and these ones over here, the last few are the Visine keyframes right there. So what I'm going to do first off, right off the bat here, is I'm going to change my frames per second from 30 to 1. Okay, now that's the reason I did that is because when you export it, you only need the frames per second at 1, so it's going to have a much shorter export. Okay, so we got all that stuff there. Another thing I wanted to mention here is you can go up here to your posing. Okay, so pose controls. With your character selected, select pose controls for the head, and you can find all the different poses right here. My GoToWebinar thing's in the way there. All right, so you can here's all the blend shapes, all the morph shapes right here. So for example, let's just do a simple one, like browse up and down right here. Okay, so you can browse up, browse down, and you can see the relevant sliders all moving simultaneously. Okay, so that's where you can find all that stuff. Now, I also mentioned before that we need to import in those two separate files, those two separate morph files for your character's face. So I'm going to go to my scene tab over here, make sure I select Victoria 8, okay, and then if I select the head posing, there'll be a couple that are blue here, down here. All right, you can see these are custom ones that we've added. Mouth side to side left and mouth side to side right. Okay, so you can see the side to side left right there and side to side right there. Now these are unique for Daz Genesis 8 characters. When you bring them into iClone, you need these two custom sliders. So the place to find that, I'm also going to put this in the chat window as well, this file path here. All right, so I have it in file location, handy little notepad document. Generally, you'll find it in this folder structure. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it in the chat window for you guys. And this is where you need to bring in all those, or paste those files. Okay. There we go. Just paste that for you there. So what you want to do is there's in that Reillusion folder. I'll put my chat window back up there. In that Reillusion folder, like I mentioned here, we have that facial expression data, and we have these two morph files right here. So what you want to do is click and copy those, and you want to paste them into that folder structure that I showed you earlier. So just copy and paste the entire Reillusion folder, okay? And you can see it, we have the same folder structure right here. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have those. If you don't have those pasted in that particular folder, you'll have a little bit of an issue with the mouth movement from to the left and the right when your character imports into iClone. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we have to do for the DUF file, applying that to your character. Everything's good to go. And once you've done finished that step, then you can go ahead and export your character. So this is pretty much all we need to spend in time, all the time we need to spend in Daz. We need to actually get some materials in just a bit here, but I'll show you that as we move along. So let's just go to File now, and you want to export your character. So let's export it, and let's choose, I don't know, let's choose an webinar test girl. Okay, as a file name. All right, and this will be Autodesk FBX. Now I've already exported this a couple times. You can see here, I have this G8 FBX. So we can export this right now live, but it might take a couple minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Here's your export options. These are important. The first one here is FBX 2011. It needs to be set to FBX 2011 binary. Okay, this is the only way this one will work. We may update that in the future, but for now we're using FBX 2011 binary. All right. And you can pretty much use these default export options here. Embed texture, collect texture to folder, yada, yada, all these ones right here. You can see them on the screen. One important thing to do, the most important thing to do actually, is go to Edit Morph Export Rules. And you want to have a rule there. And you want to, under rule, just go ahead and add a rule there. When you add it, I've already added it here, as you can see, rule 0. and you want to type in head, and there's a period after that head. Okay, so there's a little dot after the head. So make sure you recognize that. I know it's easy to miss. You can see head and then dot right there. Okay, and the action for that you want to take is ignore. Okay, so that's going to help export the blend shapes from the iClone DOF file there more accurately into your FBX file. Okay, so once you have that, you can just go add, and again, just add that in customized. Anything else doesn't need to be added, so let's just go ahead and select accept. And then you can go ahead and accept that, and it'll export it. Now, I already have it exported, like I mentioned, into those two files I kind of created earlier. So the next step here is to actually go into 3D Exchange. Now we're going to bring our character into 3D Exchange and replace some materials. Now, one thing I wanted to mention here as a precursor before I get into this, all this material stuff that I'm going to be doing in the next 5 minutes or so here, all these material replacements, in particular for the eyes, we're going to be kind of shortening that. We're going to be doing it automatically in future updates. So probably in a month or two or a couple months here, you're not going to need to be able to, you're not going to have to do any of this stuff that I'm showing you right now. Just so you know, because I know it's kind of monotonous to kind of go through all that stuff, but we're going to go through it right now. So, okay, let's bring in, just the G8 FBX file, whatever. Okay, this is one I imported earlier, like I mentioned. And your import options, import animation and smooth curve. Import animation 30 frames per second. No big deal right there. Okay, so what's going to happen when you import it into 3D Exchange is 3D Exchange is going to recognize automatically, hey, this is a Daz character. Do you want us to automatically, convert it? All right, we should get to that in just a moment here. Okay, maybe because Daz is exporting at the same time, it's going a little bit slower. So let's just kind of close this down. Well, okay, let's just keep it going. Never mind. Seems like I can't close it down halfway through. My little computer is having trouble here. All right, there we go. So, analyzing character data structure. So it says it supports all these Daz Genesis, blah, 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 blah. Character detected for auto conversion. So it auto detected the Daz Genesis character for bone structure and face mapping. Do you want to convert it to a non-standard talking character? You can just select yes. At this point, we're going to do conversion in just a moment here as well. All the files in the motion library have been updated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, don't worry about all that stuff. Just some messages that need to be placed. All right, so here's the character. You can see the colors on the clothing are a little bit different. I chose the yellow and black ones this time here. All right, and let's take a look at our character's face. You can also go into get better lighting if you want. Up here in 3D Exchange, you can change to scene mode, iClone default. Notice the shading's a bit different. Excuse me. I like to use the Hall IBL right here. I find this one's kind of cool. All right, so something like this, but maybe just use iClone default to save on resources here. Okay, there's a couple things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is get some materials going, especially for the eyes. Now, the Daz eyes are kind of complex, as you may know. So what we're going to do, actually, before we get to the materials, should we do this first? It doesn't really matter, I guess. Okay, let's just do the materials first for the eyes. So what I'm going to do is just go down here, up here rather, to modify tab, and select my materials over here. You can use this little drop-down menu to get there faster. You use the eye picker tool here, and just pick the eyes right there. Okay, so there's the cornea, a number of different things right here on your character. So what it did is it just selected this Genesis 8 female shape here, and we're gonna go ahead and use the cornea first. Now the cornea, you can see there's no diffuse map, but there's a bump map right here. What you want to do is just change the values down here to opacity 5. Okay, so there's a little bit of opacity. Okay, so you can actually see the cornea there. It becomes a little bit more clouded over. Let's actually zoom in a little bit closer there. And self-illumination, we don't want her eyes to illuminate, but we do want to change the specular value. You can see it gets some specular highlights right there. Now let's take that glossiness down. Okay, so you can see we're just kind of adding some specular highlights there on the cornea. And I think the best values that I kind of found earlier were 500 and Maybe the glossiness would be around 80 or something like that. Okay, so you get some nice specular highlights on the corneas there. You can see as we rotate around there. And the next step is the eye moisture material. So let's go to eye moisture right here. And same thing for that. Change our opacity to 5. And the specular value I found was 500 and glossiness 60. Okay, so that's kind of like the other part of the eye right here. Okay, I'm not really good with the eye stuff, to be honest with you. I always forget which one's which, but there's the eye moisture, and then there's the iris finally. So the iris is the kind of the blue part right there. So with the iris, let's replace the bump map. And so we need to replace the bump map of the iris because it looks kind of flat right now. You can find that bump map by going into Daz and going into Surfaces. I always forget where to find this, so hopefully you can find it. Surfaces, Victoria 8, and irises right here. There we go. Okay, so irises, and you'll find just basically go anywhere in here. The bump map's somewhere in here. I forget where it is, but it's in that same folder, I believe. There you go, bump strength. You can find it. Just click on that and go to browse, and you'll find the bump map right here. You can copy it and paste it to another folder, or you can just copy the directory structure like this and then paste it in 3D Exchange. Load up the bump channel there and just paste it up here. Control V. So if I'm going a bit too fast for you there, but that's just kind of a really easy and quick way to do it. So load in that bump map. And once we load in the bump map, you'll see the irises kind of have a bit more texture to them. And you can adjust the strength of that as well. Okay, so the bump right there, we'll take the strength all the way down. All right, you notice there's a little bit of very, very subtle attention to detail on the irises there. And yeah, pretty much that's it. All right, and then irises. There's also the sclera, which we need to replace as well. So there's a sclera section here as well, and use that same bump map for the sclera. Okay. And let's wait for that to load in real quick there. All right, so you can see the sclera a bit more pronounced along the side there. Okay, so that's where like the veins are for the eyes and stuff like that. So here you'd probably want to adjust the strength a little bit further down. Okay, just maybe something like this. And nothing too crazy. We'll leave the strength maybe at 25 or something like that. Okay, good. So that's basically it for the eyes. Now let's take a look at the face. So let's just select our material, pick the material, pick the face here. All right. Now the face, we need to import in that normal map that we have. So right now the face is kind of flat texture. We don't have a normal map or a specular map. You can find those in the same folder structure in Daz there. Pretty much in here. You can find the normal map right here, Victoria 8 face normal. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and preview that. Now, there's your normal map right there. Now, the thing about this is the normal maps are actually TIFF files. So you can see if I mouse over item type, TIFF image. And unfortunately, we can't use TIFF images in 3D Exchange or iClone right now. So what you need to do is right-click and open it up with, I don't know, Photoshop or whatever image editing software you have and save it as a PNG. There's also an online like TIFF to PNG conversion tool, I think. If you don't have Photoshop, you can just go online TIFF to PNG converter. So I Google searched before. This one right here. All right, you can just load in your TIFF image into there, and I'll put that link in the chat window there as well for you guys. All right, so just throw that in there. There we go. Okay, so you can use that as well. I'm just going to use like Photoshop. I'm kind of lazy, so just go File, Save As, and save it as a PNG. Okay, and just save it to our desktop. As you can see, I've already pretty much done that. There's our PNG image right there, so I won't bother saving it again. Just wanted to show you some process there, and close down Photoshop. Goodbye, Photoshop. I hardly knew ye. All right, so there's your face image right there, PNG. On my desktop, I've already saved it, like I mentioned. So let's just load that in as a bump map here, and let's find it on the desktop. There we go. Oops, you also want to make sure that when you import that in, you import it in as a normal map. I forgot to mention that as well. Let's go ahead and just, and our Daz thing is finished exporting, I guess. So, okay, so when you double click, import in as normal map right here, okay? Make sure you keep that in mind. import it in as a normal map, and select it like that. Okay. And you should be good to go. You can see the wrinkles under her eyes. She's aged, waiting for me to finish this webinar. Okay, so there you go. All right, and then the strength, obviously, you can decrease the amount of bags under her eyes or increase it, and so on and so forth. And let's load in that specular image, again, for the face, and that can be found in the same place, basically. Okay, the same folder in the Daz structure, again, just browse. And the specular image is this one right here. All right, Victoria face S, okay, right, indicated by the gray, everything like that. And the body, you can do that as well and everything like that. I'm just going to worry about the face for right now. All right, let's just load in that specular image for the face. Excuse me. And once that loads in, we're pretty much good to go after that for materials. So then we'll import it into iClone, and we'll get some stuff going on. So here's our specular. Okay, you can see when I increase or decrease the strength, there's a difference right there. So we have much more control over the specular, which is a lot nicer and a lot better. Okay, and as with everything else, okay, so this particular character, if you wanted to replace any meshes on the character, for example, so you want to replace the bra for, we want to modify the shape of the bra and export it into ZBrush and import it back in. Well, then we can go up here to the replace mesh section here, and you can export your mesh, okay, to a OBJ file, and you can then import it back in by replacing the mesh and replacing it with another one that you've modified or whatever like that. In this case, this one right here. But I'm not going to do that right now. Just want to show you that you can replace the mesh quite easily, okay, for both your character shape and your character's skin mesh rather, and the clothing and everything like that. Okay. Now this character may have some issues like this with the you may encounter something like this where the skin mesh is kind of breaking through. There's two ways to fix this. The first one is to just do the export mesh like I showed you, or like I just mentioned to you, and then extrude the clothing mesh. Extrude the clothing mesh a little bit, just so the skin isn't popping through. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to use an opacity map on your character's skin. So essentially, we don't need any of the geometry, the skin geometry underneath these yoga pants here. We don't need skin because it's just basically 2 layers of mesh, which we don't need. So I tend to favor the opacity map way. And in the tutorial on the Daz website there, or not on the Daz website, on this page right here, if you go up to tutorials, we talk about how to do that. I believe it's in this one right here, importing Daz Genesis 3 characters to iClone. So it's in this in tutorial here. It'll show us how to use an opacity map to solve that kind of issue. Okay, so those are 2 ways you can go about it. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it right now, and we're going to just go ahead and then import our character into iClone at this point. So I think we're pretty much good to go. And yeah, so we're about halfway through. Let's just go ahead and import into iClone. And we can do that by going up here to export to iClone, just like this. And we want to export geometry, of course. Let's just call it Cool Webinar Girl or Gal, whatever. I'm so inconsistent with the naming. Now make sure that your texture size is 2048 by 2048, max texture size, okay? You want to make sure that's an option there. Destination, we can save it to our desktop, or we can save it to the default iClone custom content folder, and I'll show you where that is in just a moment. You don't need to export animation. We're not exporting any animation at all. Okay, I also wanted to mention, whoops, forgot to show the facial animation stuff as well, and we have to do a couple more things. Forgot to mention this, totally got caught up in the materials. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we need to actually convert it to a non-standard character. Okay, so we need to select convert to non-standard character, and this is the conversion process. All right, now you can see active right now, the T-pose. It's not really a T-pose, correct T-pose, but what we can do is we can deselect active, and you can load the T-pose right here. And we have a special Daz Genesis 8 that's included with 3D Exchange 7. Okay, so this is a custom T-pose. Just go ahead and load that bad boy in, and there you go. All problems solved. Then you can select active, and there's our T-pose. And you can go up here to the properties. I tend to like to use these auto settings for face offset, or feet offset rather. Okay, they tend to be fairly decent. Okay, I like to use those, have those automatically on. Make sure your T-pose is pretty good. Okay, and then you should be good to go. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention here, you can calibrate, preview your calibration, just to test out, different motions, like lower calibration, stuff like that. And maybe do like an upper calibration. Okay, there's the shoulder motion. All right, you can have fun all day doing calibration. But let's go ahead and just get on with that. Now, another thing I wanted to mention here as well, you can go to Facial Extend Map, and you may encounter this. In some cases, we've encountered it. In some cases, we haven't. But go down here, and you need to select your eyes. So it'll automatically have create these bones for your eyes. Now, in some cases, you may need to manually assign that. So select the LI option right here, or item in your hierarchy right there, and then a map. Go to select Map to Left Eye. Okay, and it'll map that bone to your left eye, and then select the right eye. Okay, just like this, and you can see it's that bone right there with the yellow box on it. Okay, and select Map to Right Eye. Okay, and that should be all the mapping that you need to do at this point. And you don't need to map the ears because we're not moving the ears at this point. Okay, but then go back into the T-pose, preview, boom, and convert. Okay, so that is converted everything. We're going to make sure that it's fully compatible with the iClone motions. Okay, and let's press the J hotkey to get a front view of your character. I'm going to zoom in on the face and take a look at the expression editor before you export. Okay, so there we go. This is the part I wanted to mention here as well. So what we have right now is we have, just make sure all of your tilting is correct, your head orientation, downward, leftward, rightward, tilt right, tilt left. Okay, this is automatically set in iClone, so jaw right, jaw left. All these items, make sure they look okay. Your viseme, okay, we can probably take off our bones there with this option right here. You can turn your bones on, or you can change the size of the bones there if you want. I normally prefer to have them off. Okay, so these are the viseme shapes. Okay, E, E, A, O, and so on and so forth. And you can see that right here on the sliders on the right-hand side, each slider corresponds with, that one's for the tongue. Okay, so, they'll modify different values here on the side, and muscles here. So here's the brow raise, all these other ones. So I'm kind of clicking through these pretty fast, but all right, you get the point, right? And then there's eyes right here. So the eyes one right here, notice that we haven't set these yet. So if you encounter that issue, I just wanted to kind of show you this. If you encounter that issue, the best thing to do is just go up here and select Auto Apply, all right? And when it says rightward, click on rightward, use the top ones, okay? And use the E hotkey, and that'll bring our rotation gizmo up. And you can rotate your eyes rightward like this. Keep the value in mind over here on the right-hand side. So you just have maybe something like that, okay? And it'll auto set that, okay? And then leftward, like this, okay? And then downward, like that, upward. You may want to get more specific values with this, but I'm not going to bother at this point. Okay, and then we go deselect auto. Okay, so now we have those all set. And then you can go individual eyes there as well, left eye. Okay, so when you set these together, it just basically does the same for both eyes. Unless you want a character to have a lazy eye or something, that's probably the fastest way to do it. Okay, so just go ahead and close that down. And there we go. That's our character. Now let's go ahead and export her like I was going to do just a moment ago to iClone. Export geometry, max texture size, default iClone destination. We don't want the animation exported. Just go ahead and press, let's call her Cool Daz Chick. All right, press OK. And we can now close down Daz. We don't need Daz around any longer. Okay, and we'll load up iClone now. And once iClone is loaded in, we'll bring in our custom character. Okay, I heard that it's finished, successfully exported. Okay, so let's just wait for iClone to load up here. Actually, I'm going to load in that custom project because we have some nice lighting in this facial close-up custom project that I created here. Okay, and I can talk a little bit about the lighting if you're interested in lighting at all a little bit later on in the Q&A session. All right, so let's wait for that to load up. And 3D Exchange, we pretty much don't need you anymore, so we'll close down 3D Exchange as well. And the rest of the day with me here, we're going to be talking about animating your character in iClone. And actually, while I'm at it, since we're doing the Mixamo downloads here as well, I'll show you how to quickly download some Mixamo motions. I guess we do need 3D Exchange. Sorry about that. Let's just go ahead and go back to Mixamo.com here. All right. So all you need to do is go to Mixamo.com, and now you can have access to all these motions if you have an Adobe ID, I think. So basically, I just have Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects. But I think you can even just have Photoshop or something for like $9 a month, and you can get free access to all these animations. So even if you only do it for a couple months, just go ahead, go crazy and download all these animations during those 2 months, and it's well worth your time for $10, $20 over 2 months to get access to all these animations here. But I'm going to show you how to basically download these and really quickly characterize them for use on your character. Okay, so let's do the samba dancing one. Okay, just for fun here. Okay, so there's samba dancing, blah blah blah. All right, go to download. FBX format, frames per second 30, skin with skin or without, doesn't really matter. I'll just go without skin. Okay, keyframe reduction none. We'll go ahead and download it. So then we'll just load up 3D Exchange one more time there. And there we go. So sambadancing.fbx. We can just click and drag that basically into 3D Exchange. Okay, import animation. Yep. Okay, all those options are okay. So what we have now is we have this skeleton samba dancing. We just need to really quickly characterize it. Okay, so let's go down here to convert to non-standard. Now with the Mixamo characters, you need to set your preset to Maya Human IK there. Okay, and active T-pose, if you select that, it's going to be messed up. So what you want to do is you want to load a T-pose, load in the Maya Human IK one right here, and just select the hip bone right there. Use the E hotkey to rotate it, just like this. Okay, it should be at about 90 degrees, I think. Yeah, 90, okay. And use those same little keys there, active T-pose. And I use those same options right there for spacing and height. And from that point, you should be good to go. Again, you can test the calibration if you want. Looking good, skinny dude. All right, good enough. All right, so once all that stuff is taken care of, again, T-pose, preview, looks good. Okay, and convert. And what's going to happen now is we can just export this as a motion into iClone. As we were waiting for that project to load up, we pretty much finished this entire process. Okay, so that's the animation. You can see, make sure in the Perform editor you have the samba dancing. You can name it whatever you want. We'll call it Sassy Samba just to customize it. Sassy Samba. All right, there we go. And then you want to go ahead and export to iClone. Now this time we're going to take off export geometry since we don't want any geometry. We just want the motion. So we'll select export animation. Let's send it to our default iClone content folder there. All right, and go ahead and press OK. So now we have exported an animation from Mixamo. Okay, and let's go back to, okay, now we can get rid of 3D Exchange, all right? Have the least amount of windows open as possible. Maybe close this one down. Too much dancing for my taste. All right, so now we have this in iClone here as well. So the custom content or the custom folder for the actors is right here. Under actor, we'll go to custom right here. And we have under character, we should find our cool Daz chick. There she is. Cool Daz chick. All right, I'll just go ahead and bring her in. We'll replace the current character. Should be relatively similar, except she'll be bald. Now we can also tweak a lot of the material values in iClone as well, which I tend to do. Okay, so obviously right off the bat here, notice the eyes are very, very different. And what we're going to do to adjust that is go to materials here. I'm going to select the eyes. Okay, so we'll select the cornea first. Now you'll notice that we have a metallic and a roughness map here. What I tend to do in this case is you can go down here and set reflection and refraction and all that stuff, but what I tend to do is just go ahead and select your roughness map and open the properties, the adjust color panel right here, and do stuff like take the brightness down. Okay, for this, I think we're on the sclera now or something like that. You're not going to have much of an effect, but you can change your metallic brightness up. Okay, and you can see the eyes get a bit more shiny right here. If we zoom in a little bit there. Okay, so now they don't seem as faded out, and the roughness, just take that all the way down. Okay, and there's different layers like I mentioned. So that one was a cornea. The irises, just do the similar thing to the iris. Whoops, not double click. Need to adjust the color, brightness, change that to a lower brightness, and the metallic. Take the metallic up. Okay, and there you go. And there's a couple other options here we can modify. That one was the iris scleris cornea. And yeah, that was the cornea we just did, sclera. Same values here. Generally, when you take the roughness map down, you can see this one you can kind of really see the reflection there along the sclera there of the eye. Change that metallic value to something a little bit higher there, okay. Nothing too high, but you just want to get that nice reflection off the eyes right there. And I believe we need to have one more here. Cornea, sclera, iris. Oh, the eye moisture, I believe. Okay, so this is the kind of basic cover for the eyes. And yeah, adjust that metallic. So a bit higher there. And the roughness needs to be a lot lower. All right, there we go. There's a nice reflection on the eyes right there. Another thing to do is you can also go to the irises, I believe. See, there's too many parts for these darn eyes, I tell you. Maybe the irises. You can also go ahead and add reflection in them as well. If you add reflection in the irises, you'll get kind of an interesting result. Maybe it's not the iris, it's a cornea. Either way, you can kind of just mess around with all these values here. I think it might be the cornea that needs to be adjusted there. You can have reflection on the cornea, I believe. Okay, yeah, there's not really much in the background in this particular image, so yeah, it's not going to work too well. So maybe the opacity needs to be adjusted there. You should be able to get more reflection. Anyways, I'll work on that a little bit later, but that's the kind of the eyes that you want right there. At least we have some decent reflections on the eyes. I think the glossiness or the metallic might be too high on one of those values, but okay, that's how you can kind of modify those anyways. You want to just adjust those channels right here, the metallic and the roughness channels. All right, so maybe just take that one down. I'm not sure why that. All right. Nope. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that for now. But then we can also modify the specular map for the face as well. So go to materials right here and select your face. Use your picker tool and select the face. And here you can adjust the metallic and roughness as well. So if you wanted to have a more interesting value for the roughness, take that brightness down, and you can get like a wax appearance on the face there. Probably need to make the roughness not super low. That's why we're getting not much of a specular highlight on the face there. But there you go. Something like that might be nice. Okay, just get a nice, interesting appearance on the face there as well. And what you want to do is you also want to make sure that your values here, we're just going to change that to 0 and the roughness at -40 or -30 maybe. And you'll notice, one thing you'll notice here is that there may be a bit of a difference between the front and the back of the scalp, but right here, for example, okay, you can kind of see that divide right there. So just keep in mind right here we have the roughness at -30 for brightness. So what we're going to do is just select that rear part of the scalp there and do the exact same thing. So with the roughness, whoops, load that in and select -30 on the brightness there. There you go. Just to kind of make it all even. Okay, so that's your character face. Now another thing you can do is take the map, the face map as well, and adjust the normal map. So, or rather the bump map right here. So we have that strength currently set to 100. If you wanted your character to look younger, you can take that all the way down, and it reduces the wrinkles around the eyes and stuff. If you wanted to emphasize that, you can also use the contrast slider here as well. So increase the contrast, and you can notice now that there's a lot more detail in those wrinkles on the face if you increase the contrast on the normal map. I tend to like to pump up the contrast a little bit on this particular character's normal map because we don't want her to look too perfect. We want to give her a little bit of, a little bit more age and character around the eyes and stuff. That's just my particular taste, but that's up to you. Okay, so the most important part now is the hair. Okay, in addition, of course, you can adjust values like the base color for the face here as well. Adjust the color. Maybe add some more red in there as well. If you want your character to have a bit more of a tan, you can throw in a bit more red there as well. Okay, just to add a bit more, maybe yellow and red. Okay, to give your character a bit more of a natural kind of glow. You want to really be delicate with that balance, though. Anyways, onto the hair. All right, so let's go now to Actor right here, and to our template folder, not to our custom folder, and under Accessories. There's this hottest hairstyles pack that I've downloaded. You can find this. I'll give you the link for this if you want. Hottest hairstyles iClone. That should do it. Okay, this is the one right here. I'll put this in the chat window as well there. And there we go. And I got to get to the animation really quick here, so apologies for the delay. Okay, so to apply that hair to your character, pretty easy stuff. Just select under here, there's hair, and any one of these hairs you can apply to your character. Just throw it in like maybe this low ponytail, for example. It'll apply to your character. For some characters like the Daz characters or the Genesis characters, it may apply in a wrong position. So all you need to do is press the W hotkey and move that a little bit forward on your character like this. Okay, that should do the trick. Right, you can also move it down a little bit slightly. Okay, and position it. You can also stretch it out if you want using the R hotkey. So you change your gizmo to the R hotkey there and just kind of stretch it out like this. All right, and bring it up or down, whichever area you want to cover on your character's face. There we go. We'll just kind of work with that there. All right, so we'll bring that down slightly as well. There you go. Okay, I like the looks of that one. Okay, so that's how easy it is to apply any of these hair accessories to your character. Now, these are physics-enabled hairs, so it's really super easy to just go ahead and use your puppet tool, for example. Select our character. And direction puppet, I like to use direction puppet to test out your character. Select the head, select primary rotation, and press the space key. You can have your character move around. You can see the hair reacting to physics. Yeah, those eyes are way too metallic. Okay, so we probably need to take those the roughness a little bit further down on the eyes there. Okay, I'll just kind of try to figure that out a little bit later. But I just wanted to kind of show you through this these options here. Now that's just the head movement and the hair. Your character is also now fully compatible with the facial puppet tool as well. So if we go to face puppet, we can just use any one of these profiles right here. Right, so this is just like we had at the very beginning. So now we have our character animated. You can click your mouse button to make your character blink. All right, good stuff. And you can create your own animations as you see fit. There's your smile. Okay, and if you press the erase button up here, you can just puppet individual parts, like the eyes, for example. Roll the eyes around. You can see the eyelids now move along with the eyes. This is a new feature with iClone 7, so we have the eyelids slowly moving along with the eyeballs to create more realistic eye movement. Okay, let's just try a couple examples here of facial animation before we end off this webinar here. I'm just going to go ahead and pump up the volume on my speaker there. And let's give her some facial animation. So select your character, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a script. Okay, so this is how you just do automatic lip syncing. Let's test an audio file here. I have one already set up here. Okay, if we play back.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
Okay, so it's just some computer generated voice that I had. She says,
"You will get your documents as soon as I get my money."
Okay, now you can see that the automatic lip sync may not be totally accurate, obviously at first. So you can adjust the viseme strength and the expression strength down here for the entire clip, or you can just press F3 and go into the timeline and open up your viseme track for your character here, and twirl down the viseme track, and you'll see all the individual keyframes for the separate visemes. So
you will get your
So you can click and drag to go through the wavelength right here.
You will get your document.
So here she says she says ments, and there's obviously a missing M. So what you can do is you can just double click on a keyframe there and just use the M. Okay, BMP viseme shape. You can change the expressiveness to less or more. Okay. Okay, and then
as soon as I get.
And then here's another get my money. Okay, so here I'm just going to add another M. Okay, and this one will change to an E, my, like that. You can change the expressiveness of it. Okay, and
get my money.
And she doesn't have the M for money either. So, and then here we need to have another M. So there you go.
Money.
And then here we need to have an E, money for E. Right, and change that expressiveness to E.
My money.
Okay, good enough. All right, so just wanted to show you a couple quick examples of adjusting the viseme keyframes there. Okay, in case you're not aware of how to do that.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
All right, and we can throw in some quick animation on top of that using the facial puppet tool. Let's go ahead and just use Jade and maybe use her angry expression. Okay, and go ahead and just press record.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
All right, good enough. And maybe after that, you can use the facial key editor. Okay, and you can use this to puppet individual, or not puppet rather, to keyframe individual parts of your character's face. So if we press the F3 hotkey, let's just go over here a little bit more, and we can close down the viseme track right now. Open up the motion one right here. Select a default key. We need to actually go open the facial expression track here, and expression, and just see we added a keyframe right there for our muscles. So maybe here we want to have like a little bit of an eyebrow raise. We can just select the eyebrows, or the left eyebrow, and kind of make that adjust that individually, just like this. Give her kind of a eyebrow raise like that, and then just take the middle part down a little bit like that. So then from here to here, we'll have an eyebrow raise, and then we can go back to default key. That'll be back to the original. So a very, very subtle little eyebrow raise. And even faster way to do this is just to go up to your expression tab up here, and you can use these preset expressions like happy, happy 2, happy 3, happy 4. There's stuff like surprise as well. Okay, all sorts of expressions here that you can just blend in. I'll just go ahead and use like happy 3. Okay, so she has an eyebrow raise, and then she'll blend into this happy expression right here, and then we can click it again over here, so she maintains that happy expression from there to there, and then from here to here we'll just go back to the original. Let's just go to I don't know, happy 5. Okay, so then from here to here, she'll smile and then blend from here to here. Okay, so we did like a really quick facial animation in just a couple minutes there. Another cool thing you can do is you have your character look at the camera. So if you have your character selected, go over to your attributes tab over here, and you can select look at camera. Okay, you can have if I move my camera like this, our character will follow along with the camera movement. So let's just have a very slow movement, maybe from here.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
And then maybe we'll just kind of move the camera up to here. And what's going to happen now is we're going to have some subtle camera movement, and she'll follow along.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
Okay, so just your basic camera movement, and I just want to show your character can kind of follow along. Now, you can have the follow along with the camera movement or the camera look at. You can change the weight from more to the head or more to the eye. Okay, so if you use the eye, you'll notice that she'll face her head forward and the eyes will be looking at the camera, whereas if you move the weight towards the head, she'll look more towards the camera with her head, which is kind of creepy. Ooh. Okay, cool, good enough. Now I don't want to spend any more time on setting up the lighting or anything like that, or talking about the lighting. I was kind of hoping we'd have time for that, but if not, then we're going to get to the Q&A session right off the bat. I know you guys have a lot of questions. We have pretty much a sold out crowd today. We have the maximum amount of attendees, so we should have a fairly decent amount of questions. So I want to go ahead and take a look at the questions now. So make sure you put those in the questions panel. If you guys have any questions, I'll try to answer those. I may not be able to answer a lot of this stuff because right now we're currently in pretty heavy development with Daz stuff, and we are going to have a lot of cool new stuff in the near future. I can't talk too much about it right now, but I can guarantee you that any of you Daz users out there are going to be fairly satisfied with the new developments that we have coming up in the pipeline really quickly here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one here. First question is from Alan. Can I import legacy poser characters with mimic morphs into iClone as well? If so, will the technique you are describing for G8 work for this? No, we don't have the particular files for those characters. Now, if you wanted to import in those mimic morphs into iClone, you'd have to customize the blend shapes in the expression editor. So you'd have to do that. Basically, when I applied that DUF file to my Genesis 8 character, that's probably saved us about 10 minutes of, maybe even more than 10 minutes of customizing the different morphs. So if you can recall, in the expression editor, we didn't have to manually set any of those morphs, except for the eyeballs, which I showed you the eyeballs. But that was really quick. Now, if you wanted to manually set all those, that's what you're going to have to do, unfortunately, with the legacy poser character at the moment, since we don't have a specific DUF file for that character, Alan. So you can do that, but the process will be a little bit longer, maybe about 10-15 minutes, depending on how much detail you want to put into your character's morphs. All right, so hopefully that helped you out there. And if you guys have any more questions as well, my email is always available, kai@reallusion.com. That's KAI @reallusion.com. And I know there's a lot of Daz users out there who have very specific questions. You can also check out the forums as well. I'd really highly recommend checking out the forums. You may get faster responses to your questions in the forums, actually, to be honest with you, because there's people on the forums who have a lot of free time on their hands, I gotta say, and they're able to just answer any questions that you might have. But forum.reallusion.com. Here's a question regarding specifically Daz Genesis 8 characters that I found earlier. I'm gonna post that in the chat window there as well. So make sure you check this out. There's a lot of people with some separate questions. They were having questions with the export settings from Daz Genesis 8 to iClone. So I just posted that in the chat window there. So make sure you check that out. Okay, next questions. Frank asks, I tried moving a G3 character along with the clothing in the FBX file. I ended up having the nipples of the character poke through the clothing in iClone. Any way to fix that? So like I mentioned earlier, Frank, with the clothing, there's a couple of different ways to fix that. You'd want to, this character doesn't really have that issue at the moment. I don't believe. Okay, so yeah, right down here, you notice that there's that clipping of the mesh through the clothing right there. Now, like I mentioned, you can manually modify the mesh. You can export it as an OBJ file, and then re-import the mesh in 3D Exchange, the option that I showed earlier. Or you can just create an opacity map for your character's skin. And generally, the way you would do that is, just go to your materials here and select your material for your pants right here, and just like launch it in Photoshop. And then you want to take your character's body, and you want to. So here's the whoa, that's kind of a funky, a little too white. Not sure what happened there, but oh gosh, okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe a bit more complicated than that. You may have to actually export the original from Daz, and then kind of superimpose that over your character's body material. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go through the entire process in this webinar here, but basically, you launch your base color for your skin right here, and you just kind of any area like around the thighs. So you basically create a black area. Anything that you don't want to show through the mesh, the clothing mesh, you just make it black. Okay, leave everything else pink, or leave everything else white rather. Everything you want to show, leave it white, and everything that you don't want to show, leave it black. Okay, and yeah, that going from there. So maybe email me if you need more clarification. You can email me specifically about that, and I'll walk you through the process there. But I don't want to spend too much time on that in this webinar right now. Let's move on to the next couple of questions here. Trevor asks, will this be covering transferring hair as well? Generally, we don't recommend using the Daz hair in iClone. It's fairly high poly count. We do have tons of iClone hair of our own, and we're always creating more. But you can import the Daz hair for sure. I just don't highly recommend it. The results don't tend to be the best. So Frank asks, could you explain how the process from G8 differs for G3, G3, and G1? Yeah, so basically, the tutorial to watch for the G3 characters is that one I mentioned earlier. Where is it here? This one right here, Daz Genesis 3 for iClone 6. It's basically the same process that I just showed you, except this one is the Daz Genesis 3 character. There's really not much of a difference. I was using Daz. This one you had to use Daz 4.9 beta. Okay, in this particular webinar, I was using the Daz Studio 4.1. Okay, I wasn't using the public build beta. I was just using the 4.1 Daz Studio beta there. Okay, you can see it right there. That's the version I was using in this webinar here. But I think we've pretty much upgraded. We've fixed a lot of the bugs that we had in previous versions with Daz 4.1 or 4.10 rather, I guess. So you should be able to use that now, I believe. Okay, so Sean asks, I see you're using 3 Delight materials. Are the iRay materials not or less compatible with the iClone rendering? Well, the iRay materials, they need to be tweaked a little bit right now at this point, but I can tell you there's going to be some interesting new rendering events happening in iClone 7 in the next version. So all I can say at this point is that the render capabilities are going to far exceed what we currently have available. Just think about this: the Indigo renderer, but faster and better. You may be able to guess where that is heading, but yeah. So we will have much better rendering rendering compatibility in the near future. So hopefully that answers your question there, Sean O'Connor. So Trevor says the website download version does not include the Gen 8 DUF file. It should. They did upgrade it as soon as we got that capability. So I'll show you guys where you can download that, re-download it if you want to, because basically once it's updated, then we need to update the version on the website. So I'll go ahead and I'll load in my my own account here just to kind of show you the process. Whoops, wrong place. My account. Okay, so when you log in, then you need to go up to registration and 3D Exchange pipeline and download. Okay, so when you've downloaded 3D Exchange, down here under bonus, you'll find this iClone Daz Genesis extension right here, and you just want to go ahead and download that, re-download that, because we have updated it. So maybe the version that you've downloaded hasn't been updated yet, but just go here and re-download it, and it should be the newest updated version for you there. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much should answer that question for you there. That was Trevor with graphics. Graphics. Kind of interesting name there. Okay, anyways, next one was Mike. Other than the two morphs, this process looks exactly the same as Daz Genesis 3. Nope. He says, am I wrong? Nope, you're not really wrong. It's actually pretty much exactly the same with a couple of very slightly different settings along the way. But yeah, and we are going, like I mentioned, Mike, we are going to tweak that pipeline so that it will actually take probably less than half the time that I showed you in this webinar. We're currently working on that. So Daz users rejoice. We're going to be kind of enhancing that pipeline even further. Wayne asks, what about FBM morphs for other characters than V8? Can they be exported separately? Yeah, they should be. Yeah, you can export your morphs all separately. But again, you have to customize them yourself, since we don't have the specific DUF files for those. Pete asks, can a normal map be in JPEG format, or does it have to be in PNG? Oh gosh, I don't know. I think that's a good one. I think it needs to be in PNG. You can try the JPEG. I've actually never tried. I always just save normal maps in PNG as a matter of habit. But I think you should be able to use JPEG. I don't see why not. You can give me a smack if I'm wrong, but I believe JPEG should work just as good as PNG. Yeah, I can't really say. I've never actually tried that. So, but PNG is I'd rather go with PNG just because it's a more advanced format. I personally think so. Okay, Mike mentions here you can also hide the mesh in Daz before exporting, and then only export unhidden parts. Okay, really good comment there from Mike Kelly. Thanks for that, Mike. He's mentioning about the mesh breakthrough issue. You can hide the mesh in Daz as well before you export it. So if you want to hide the characters, this area right here, hide the skin mesh before you export, you can also do that in Daz as well. I forgot to mention that, but thanks to Mike for reminding me about that. David mentions, don't forget the memories. Okay, yeah, you can also hide those as well if you want. All right, so longer question here from Charles. It's pretty long here. Let me just read through this real quick here. I find that at least with previous generation characters like Daz's Minotaur, geographed body parts don't quite meet like they're supposed to when you use FBX export. You talked about re-importing meshes. Would it work to export both the FBX and OBJ from Daz at the same time, import the FBX to 3D Exchange, then re-import the better OBJ mesh to replace the character mesh? Yeah, Charles, that could work. But to be honest, I'm not sure about the compatibility. I've never actually tried that process that you're mentioning here. So Charles is mentioning exporting the OBJ directly from Daz as opposed to 3D Exchange. Now, I've never actually tried that process, but just to confirm the compatibility, I would recommend exporting the OBJ from 3D Exchange as opposed to exporting from Daz. And you don't change make sure you don't change the poly count. That's the most important part. Otherwise, if you change the poly count of your OBJ, then it's going to have an error as well. So just keep that in mind. if you want to use that replace mesh method. Oh gosh, we have tons of questions here. All right, so Charles, any work plan to improve teeth geometry when importing Genesis 3 and 8? I generally have to modify the geometry in ZBrush to get nice teeth. Oh gosh, I can't really say specifically about the teeth geometry if there's going to be not. I mean, I've heard a lot of people mention this for sure, but I can't really give you a solid answer on that. Maybe you can email me and I can ask the development team and get back to you on that specifically about the teeth. But at this point, I don't have a solid answer for you there. Sorry about that, Charles. Joel asks, no bones from Mixamo. Not sure what that means. Maybe you can clarify there, Joel. We did export the bones from Mixamo. That's all we exported, in fact. We didn't export the mesh at all. Frank asks here, can you export Daz hair along with the character and clothing? Yes, you can export the Daz hair. I would recommend, honestly, highly recommend using iClone's hair as opposed to Daz's hair, though, just because of the complexity of the Daz hair. And the Icone hair already has physics weight maps, so you can use the physics on it and stuff like that. Okay. Oh, I didn't apply the samba dance that I downloaded from Mixamo. That reminds me. Let's have our character. Let's give our character the samba dance motions here. Custom motions. Where was it here? Oh man, samba dancing. There it is. Okay. Sassy Samba. Let's check it out. All right.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
Oops, I forgot to have camera animation on that. Here we go.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
There's Victoria 8 doing the Sassy Samba. Woohoo! You can see the hair kind of flapping around like that. All right, good stuff. All right. We have accomplished what we needed to with the Sassy Samba. All right, just kind of wanted to show that to you guys. Show you that it works, because I didn't actually show it that it worked earlier. Okay. Trevor mentioned you can use Substance Designer to convert the Daz MDL materials directly to the PBR metal spec workflow as a new set of maps dedicated for Icone. Interesting. Okay, you can use the Substance Designer to convert, Trevor's mentioning here, I'll repeat that. You can use Substance Designer to convert the Daz MDL materials directly to the PBR metal specular workflow as a new set of map dedicated for Icone. Okay, good to know. That is actually a good idea for a tutorial if we have one in the future. Let me just write that down. Substance to Daz MDL. Yeah, that'd be really cool to have it as a tutorial in the future there. Thanks for that idea there, Trevor. Maybe you can make your own tutorial on YouTube during the interim before we make our own. But yeah, if you have a YouTube channel, put it in the chat window, and if you want to make a tutorial of it, we can check it out later. Okay, another question from Frank, inquisitive fella. If you have to readjust all the IMaps in Iclone, can you get away with not doing it in 3D Exchange and only do it in Iclone? Yeah, that's a good question, Frank. Yeah, you can do it in Iclone as well, but the problem with that is that I think you can just do it in Iclone. I don't think it's a problem. I always just do it in 3D Exchange myself, but I do believe you should be able to do the exact same thing in Iclone. For certain things like the skin with the specular map, for example, you can, if you recall, in 3D Exchange we imported that with a specular map, and when it was imported into Iclone, it was exported as a PBR material workflow. So it kind of integrated that converted that normally into a specular map, or rather a metallic map for the face. Okay, so Eric mentions it was eye moisture for the reflection. All right, I always get confused with the 4 different parts of the Daz eyes. So Eric mentions that eye moisture is the best for reflection on the iris, I guess. Trevor asks, would iClone support hair cards for the eyebrows? Not sure. I've never actually tried that, unfortunately, Trevor. Maybe someone can give that a shot and then post it in the forums. But iCards for the eyebrows, I don't believe so at this point. Although, like I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of improvements to the Daz to iClone workflow in the near future, probably in the next quarter here. So March, April, May, you're going to see a lot of improvements to that workflow. I can guarantee you that, and that might be one of them. David mentions, are there any plans to be able to bring Daz clothing into Character Creator? The answer for that is yes. We have plans for it, and it's possibly under development already. Hopefully that answers your question there, David. Craig asks, can I import a Daz character with heels? Yes, you can. Craig, we cover that actually in that particular tutorial. This Daz Genesis 3 for iClone 6, we cover this character is actually imported in with heels. And there's a separate DUF file that we apply to achieve that. Okay, so Peter asks, could you have a tutorial on four-legged characters? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Bringing a four-legged character into iClone. Obviously, it wouldn't be compatible with our bipedal, motion tools, but you could, custom animate it definitely. And I'll write that down as well. And if any of you guys have tutorial suggestions, I'm the guy to talk to about that. So if you have any tutorial suggestions, feel free to send those suggestions to me via email, or you can actually do it in the survey form as well. And we'll try and get to that in the future. So I'm just writing it down here: four-legged Daz import or export rather. Oops. Okay, so okay, so Alvin mentions, send an email today. I did check a couple of emails today. I haven't checked all of them yet, so I'll hopefully get that for you there, Alvin, later on. Okay, so all right, somebody had to leave due to bad weather, so hopefully it's not too bad. Mr. Budi Sawardi, possibly from India. Hopefully they're having good weather over there. Damien asks, Damien Green asks, what was the path to the T-pose? I didn't get the T-pose with my 3D Exchange. Is there a way to save the built character within iClone so you don't have to keep building the character in iClone? So the T-pose process, I did go through that. You can probably review that on your own time. I don't want to really open up 3D Exchange and go through that process again right now, Damien, but we did cover that. And the T-pose should be included with your 3D Exchange 7. Okay, so you should have all those T-poses that I showed earlier in 3D Exchange 7. If you don't, just email me and I'll send it to you. No problem. It's no big deal to have a T-pose there. And if you want to save your character in iClone, yeah, definitely. Just go ahead and with your character, go over here to Avatar, Custom, open your character folder, and just press plus. After you've done any modifications you want, go ahead and press plus, and we'll call it Dancing Gal. Okay, there you go. All right, that looks like a better avatar than the other one anyways. Or a better thumbnail, rather. Okay, next question, Mixamo. Yes, hopefully the Mixamo part is really fast, but hopefully it was clear for you guys. It's not really too complicated. So Mickey mentions here, I cannot find the Gen 8 link to download the new setup. So I just kind of hopefully I solved that for you there, Mickey, when I went through the download process there. Go to your registration section of your account in the Relusion backend there, and just like download for 3D Exchange, and you should find it there somewhere at the very bottom. Mike says, can you at least hint if Daz clothes can easily be brought into Character Creator? Yeah, I can definitely hint it. We're not sure when the when that's going to be implemented, but it's definitely in the development phase, I guess, is what I can say right now. So Michael asks a very good question. Are there rights issues with using Daz characters via iClone 3D Exchange pipeline in games? If you're using Daz characters in any of your games, even if you're taking them through the 3D Exchange pipeline, those characters are property of Daz. So you want to make sure that you're conforming with the Daz usage rights for any particular models. Okay, that's not just because you take them through a 3D Exchange pipeline doesn't mean that we suddenly take over rights of those characters. The original rights still remain with the Daz group or whatever. So you need to make sure that you're conforming to their legal requirements when you use that. So that's something that you would deal with them about. For our characters, if you've purchased them, they're all royalty free. So you don't need to pay any royalties or anything like that. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question there, Michael. John asked, although he's left, do the DUF files also come with 3D Exchange 6 pipeline? 3D Exchange 6 pipeline, you'll get the Genesis 3 characters, or the Genesis 3 DUFs. I believe 3D Exchange 7 also has the Genesis 8, but I don't think 3D Exchange 6 includes those. You can check. I'm not sure, but that's very possible. Okay. Okay, Frank asked another question. Can you add Daz export of iRay materials straight through 3D Exchange into iClone for props and locations so that I don't have to adjust the materials? Yeah, so I don't have to adjust the materials once you have iRay and iClone. Please, please, please. I think this is a very highly requested feature, Frank. So, and I can tell you that, iRay is in somewhere in the future. We'll just say that for now. Mark asks, if I have 100 motions from Mixamo, is there a way to batch process them in 3D Exchange? Yeah, there is. There very much is. How would you do that? Because you can't import them as individual FBX files, or can you? No, I think it needs to be one FBX file that contains a number of different animations. I think every FBX file you download from Mixamo is or every motion you export from Mixamo or download from Mixamo is a separate FBX file. So you need to have all those animations in a single FBX file to do the batch export, the batch processing in 3D Exchange. I'm not sure how you would do that, but yeah, unfortunately, it would be one at a time unless you can achieve that. Okay, so Nicholas mentions here, I want to give some advice. You don't need to take a subscription to have access to Mixamo. Just create a free account. Okay, good to know, Nicholas, and I'm pretty sure it's good to know for everybody out there. They're going to get all these free Mixamo motions then. All you need to do is create a free account. If what you say is true, then that's awesome. Wow, okay. I've always had my Adobe Creative Cloud account, and I just kind of assumed you had to have access to that. Okay, so Vic mentions, are there any good tutorials out there on setting up morphs for facial animation of characters or preferred rigging for Daz characters? Nothing comes to mind at the moment. Setting up morphs for facial animation of characters. Not particularly for this pipeline. There might be some specific Daz tutorials for that, but I don't really keep super up to date on the Daz tutorials. But it's very possible. So I can't really give you a solid answer on that, Vic. But if you want to have any tutorials like that in the future, we can definitely consider that. So this would be setting up morphs. All right, we'll take a look at that as well. Okay, so Trevor also mentions here when I go to download the Genesis extension, it only gives me version 3. that only has the Generation 3 DUF files and the zip file. Where can I get the ones that include Generation 8 DUFs? Let me just take a look at mine, because I downloaded mine recently and it was fine. So try it one more time here real quick. Let's see what's in here. Yeah, see, I just downloaded it right now, and it contains the Daz Genesis 8 for the male and female. So I'm not sure when they updated it, but I just did it right now, and it does contain all those DUFs that you need. So maybe contact customer service if that's the case, if you don't have those files, or I can just send them over as well. No biggie. Richard mentions here you can also push the material inside Daz, but it may help you answer the collision of the clothing question. Okay, push the material inside of Daz. Okay, so that's another Daz tailored solution there from Richard Clifton for the material breakthrough. You can also push the material inside of Daz as well. Okay, so Trevor mentions here there's a slider in Daz to remove nipples on most of the models. Yeah, the memories comment or question was earlier. There is a nipple removal slider for Daz. Keep that in mind as well. Okay, question from Vicky here. I'm running Icone 7 Pro pipeline and purchased the Daz extension a few years ago. So hopefully I answered your question just now, Vicky. You need to just go to that registration and download the G8. It seems like maybe a few people here don't have that G8. So I would assume that if you have or 3D Exchange 7 Pro or Pipeline, you should have that. And if you don't, contact customer service or just give me a shout as well. Okay, because that's kind of confusing because I just, literally just did it on mine 2 seconds ago. So, yeah, okay. So Chris mentions the new rendering is not really a secret. At this point, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to tell and what I'm not, but I was told to keep it a little hush-hush on the new rendering. So it is Iray Render that's upcoming, an Iray rendering plugin, in case you guys were curious. Yeah, that is in the works. Here's the forum post that Chris kind of posted for us. I'll put that in the chat window as well. If you want to know more about the Iray upcoming roadmap for iClone 7 in 2018. So Joel asks here, when you import an animation from Mixamo, do you always have to retarget the bones? Yes, unfortunately, because they use a Mixamo rig, or not a Maya Human IK rig. Okay, so you need to make sure you characterize that model or whatever rig you're using, and you have to go through that process, unfortunately. Okay, so Bob mentions here, for converting the Mixamo animations, you can still use the Exchange profile from 6 to convert to save time. Okay, interesting. So there's a profile from 3D Exchange 6 that he uses to save time. I'm not sure if they have that in 7. I'm not sure if it works. I've always just done it this way myself. There might be a faster way, and if there is, I kind of feel like a dork. But yeah, maybe Bob you can post that on the forum or something like that. Not really familiar with that, but okay. Okay. More comments about memories here. I'll just kind of leave those out for now. Bob mentions a good option here to fix the teeth in Daz. You can use a displacement map actually, which is pretty interesting. I think that's a kind of a novel solution, using a displacement map and tessellation to fix the teeth issue. Okay. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. We're about half an hour overtime here. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of scan through the last few questions here. Mostly just a lot of comments at this point here. So thanks everyone for your comments and your feedback. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this here. Can native iClone, Eldine asks, can native iClone clothing fit on Daz characters such as the assassin playset outfits? Not yet, but in the future. That's coming up. I can tell you that for sure. That's one of the things we're working on. So Trevor asks, do characters and props from the iClone marketplace and iClone store include that royalty-free license? Yeah, basically, I can tell you that anything that you purchase with the export license, or it doesn't even need to be an export license if you're just using it within iClone. We do ask that you credit iClone or credit us somewhere in your production if you're using our characters. But as of right now, we have just a royalty-free license. So once you purchase it, it's yours to use commercially as you see fit. Yeah, so Doug mentions here you can add all the FBX. When you're exporting a batch FBX, you can add all the FBX to the animation section. I haven't done that for such a long time, but the only time that I've ever done that is exporting from iClone to Unreal, and I've always done it clicking and dragging the eye motions into that perform editor. It could work the other way. I'm not sure. I don't want to get into it right now, but hopefully, yeah, that's a possibility. But I'm not totally sure. I haven't done it for such a long time. Gosh. Okay, so there's Alvin had posted a tutorial, a link for a tutorial video on how to import Daz hair into iClone. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that for you guys in the chat window there as well. So thanks Alvin for that. Where's the chat window at? Here we go. All right, just post that there. Alan asks, can I import Daz anti-blocks to iClone? I've never actually tried that. Maybe someone else can answer that in the forums. I've never done the anti-blocks from Daz to iClone actually. I've only done characters actually from Daz to iClone, to be honest with you. Not even animations or anything like that, with the exception of the DUF files that contain the morphs that I just showed you. Okay, so I have a couple people now mentioning that the download works. They now have access to the Daz Generation 8 or Genesis 8 DUF files. Okay. Charles asks, is the new rendering still going to be near real time, or is it quite slow like in Daz? Well, it'll be iRay level pretty much. Our rendering right now is pretty much real time, but the iRay quality is going to take a little bit longer, but nowhere near as long as the Indigo plugin. I know that for sure. I've actually seen examples from the development team of the speed comparison between Indigo and iRay, and it's quite significant. Okay, so a question from Joel, when will the YouTube be posted of this? We'll probably send you a YouTube link within 24 hours normally, within 48 hours at the latest. Should be within 24 hours though. All right, so you guys can expect that. Tony asks, is it possible to illustrate vampire teeth morphing from plain teeth? What Bob mentioned earlier about displacement, using displacement maps to adjust the teeth, that's a really novel concept that I never actually really thought about. So if you were to use Bob's method of using displacement maps on the teeth, you could more than definitely use the vampire teeth or morph vampire teeth using the animation of the displacement map. As long as you're answering, what about the booby springs for generation characters? The breast spring effects. I'm not sure, Mickey. I can't really answer that. I've never actually specifically looked into that, but it's a good question for the forums, to be honest with you there. There's lots of people there that can probably help out with that. Yeah, so another question from Joel asking about importing a tutorial on importing Daz hair. Alvin just I put a link from Alvin in the chat window on importing Daz hair. We might do our own in the near future. We have a lot of Daz users, especially recently, that are super interested in stuff like character creators. So I think we'll probably be focusing a lot on Daz tutorials in the near future, especially with all those new features coming out. So you can expect some of those in the next coming months here. So Guy asks, I missed the first half of the webinar. Will I be able to replay it? Yeah, definitely. We're going to send you a YouTube link, Guy, so you can watch the first half at your own leisure. And yeah, that's that. Okay, a couple more questions I'm going to answer here, and then we're going to have to really just end it off here. We're half an hour overtime, 35 minutes overtime, but Trevor asks, for Unreal Engine export, is there a way to zero out the root motion of the animations? So kind of unrelated, but yes, there is. You can zero out the root motion in iClone before you export. And I'm not sure if we have a tutorial on that, but it's a fairly simple process. Alvin mentions he has a tutorial on exporting Daz Ani-blocks to iClone, so maybe check out his. That's one gun shun. Forgive me if I'm totally butchering the name there, Alvin, but you can find him on our forums and also on the Facebook iClone groups there as well. Always had a lot of tutorials going on. Yeah, okay, so yeah, if you guys fill out these surveys as fast as you can, you'll probably get that 10% discount right away off the bat there. Most of the remaining things here are just comments from people. So yeah, one more question from Guy. At some point, we'll be able to use Daz meshes as a CC base. Yes, so we'll be full compatibility in the near future is what we're looking to achieve. So for all you guys, all you Daz users out there, it should be pretty good thing for you. All right, I just also posted a link in the chat window for Alvin's YouTube channel. You can check that out. He has a lot of tutorials on there as well. So that's the last chat link I'm going to be posting there for you guys. But yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and end it off right there. So thanks so much, everyone, for attending. Didn't expect so many questions, but actually I kind of did. But yeah, hopefully you got all the answers you need. And if you don't have the answers, post on the forums, forum.reallusion.com. Any Daz related forum, you can any Daz related thread you can post in there, and you can also email me kai@reallusion.com. And of course, don't forget to fill out the survey. We're going to send you out the survey momentarily, and with the YouTube upload of the webinar we've just gone through here. So yeah, let's just end it off there. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thanks again so much for attending. We always love to have you guys along for the ride. And there's exciting things coming up for Daz users and iClone, so you can look forward to that. All right, so I'll bid you adieu. Adios, everyone. And we'll see you in the next YouTube video or tutorial or webinar.